All right, everybody, it's Andreas Hale with Fighting Words, and I'm here with the trainer of Gennadiy Golovkin, the one and only Jonathan Banks. John, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I want to kick this thing off with this, there's this idea that this thing is really personal, and I know Triple G said it's business. You've also said it's business. But when you come into a fight of this magnitude, as being a fighter yourself, there's always going to be some emotions attached to it. How important is this fight for you as a trainer, especially knowing how important it is for your pupil, basically, in Triple G?
I mean, obviously, it's very important because it's a big fight with my fighter's legacy on the line. Not so much on the line. I don't think his legacy would change. I think he solidified on what he did in the sport of boxing. But he can close a huge chapter in his career by getting the victory on the night of the 17th.
When you say close a chapter, it's an interesting thing because when we saw Manny Pacquiao fight Juan Manuel Marquez, those fights were nip and tuck all the way until that final fight where everybody counted Marquez out and he ended up stopping Pacquiao. Some fighters just have other fighters' numbers. Do you think there's a similar case with Golovkin, with Canelo, where no matter what Canelo does, it's never going to be an easy fight, no matter what Canelo says, and he knows that deep down in his heart?
I mean, I think it's the same for both guys. I think no matter where you put these guys at any point in their career, it's just a blood sport, tooth and nail fight for each other.
Is it personal? Do you think it's personal for Canelo? I know Gennadiy says it's not. You don't think it is either. But do you think it's deeply personal with Canelo with the way he's been acting with the build to this fight? No?
No, I think it's business as usual.
Business as usual.
If it was personal, he would have fought him a long time ago when he was supposed to.
That's interesting because it felt like he never wanted to have that third fight with
Thank you. So now it's personal? Really? You kidding, man? Like, you building the fight. Good job. Keep building the fight. I appreciate it. But don't start making up accusations because you mad and you want to gain some momentum from a fight. Like, come on, man, it's crazy.
It is a little crazy. In your opinion, I know a lot of people talk about Golovkin being 40, and that's neither here nor there. We've seen great fighters past the age of 40, but who has more to lose heading into this fight? A lot of people say this, Canelo wants to end Triple G's career, but I think on the other side of this, if Canelo loses, which I'm sure that's what your job is to do here, it feels like it validates those other two fights as well, where most people, like myself, had Triple G winning the first two fights.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
You think Canelo's a little bit more to lose coming into this, and he kind of knows it as well?
I think if both fighters looking at this fight, if I'm looking at the fight in both fighters' shoes, I think they both looking at it as they got something to lose. They got a lot to lose, because neither one of them wants to lose this fight. And if Canelo's victorious, he's going to say, listen, I don't know why y'all doubted me in the first place. But, I mean, it's still the same situation that people's opinions going to be their opinion, whether he be victorious on the trilogy fight or not. But only thing that's major to focus on is who's better on the night of the 17th. That's the major focus. And G plans on being the best fighter on the night of the 17th because not only because he wants to, because he know he have to. He have to be the better fighter. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, that's where his focus goes, not the first fight, not the second fight. And he can't allow himself to deviate anything off of anything. He must keep that tunnel vision, understanding that you in there with someone, you shared about 24 rounds with the guy before, but you in there with somebody that knows you, them. It's time to exercise a lot of stuff you've been working on, and let's just go to work.
Now, when you mentioned that, when you first saw Gennadiy, I think he was around Emmanuel Stewart at the time, and you saw Gennadiy his amateur pedigree. And I know you've been talking a lot about bringing some of that back and keep the power punching intact. When you first started with Golovkin to where he is now, how close are you to accomplishing that full mission of getting him to merge those two worlds together?
We're about 89 to 90% there.
How satisfying is that? Because again, see people saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but we've seen incremental improvements. I know I, as a viewer, have seen it. When you go back and you see it, and when you say 90% right now, it feels like that you've been getting through to Golovkin in ways that, Abel Sanchez couldn't. And you're bringing those things out of him that other people couldn't. And it has to feel good.
Well, for me, I think it's just the style of teaching, out of the late great Manny Stewart playbook and the things he taught me. So if you go back, just a little mental note to go back in history, looking at some of the hardest guys to hit in the sport, it was boxers. You know what I'm saying? Some of the most legendary guys in our sport, you know what I'm saying, was boxers. If you look at the vicious guys, most of them fell prey to the boxers. Like Sonny Liston, he was all vicious. This dude was like venom in a human, you know what I'm saying? He was like, he was, Sonny Liston don't get all the credit he deserved because he was a smaller heavyweight, but he was a huge puncher.
Right.
But when Muhammad Ali got in the ring with him, he made him look average, because he boxed him. He let his hands go on him. He just moved and boxed him. So that's the one piece in the sport that if you know how to do it, you don't cause problems for some people. You cause problems for everybody.
And with Golovkin, because I think, he's such an intriguing fighter for a lot of us. We've talked about his power for so long, but he's a tremendous boxer. He does things in the rings that we didn't necessarily see other fighters, like shifting, for instance. But when you look at a fighter like that and you have this as your student, even though I would suggest that you guys are peers at this point and really good friends, when you're bringing those things out of him and you see it, it's almost like a guy who can't be beat. Do you see any style that gives Golovkin trouble? Because it doesn't even seem like Canelo necessarily gave him trouble. It was just a very strangely scored fight for a lot of people.
Well, in my opinion, Canelo gave him trouble, my opinion. And from the looks of it may not be trouble to him, but it looked like he started giving him a little trouble. And to me, that's the reason when G changed up the second round, in the middle of the second round, third round, whatever the first fight, he started boxing him more. You know what I'm saying? Because that was giving Canelo trouble. Once he started jabbing him and he started noticing, okay, I'm getting more and more momentum coming forward the more I box him. So he kept the jab on him. He kept boxing him because the movement and the boxing is what messed him up. So that's the reason Canelo's also saying this trilogy fight, he's gonna come straight to him. He wanted straight to him. He wanted to be toe to toe. Yes, he wanted to be toe to toe because he can't deal with that movement. So yeah, he wanted to be toe to toe because he got a better chance as long as he can lay hands on him. He got a better chance of sitting around because he don't want to move. If he could have took a bat and hit people all inside the head and tell him to stop moving, then he would have did it. You know what I'm saying? Because that movement, he's not that guy no more. He's not that guy who move and box. He's too heavy. If you start moving, he's gonna tire out in 3 or 4 rounds because he's too heavy. He's physically not that big of a guy.
Right.
So him getting bigger and bigger and fighting these physically bigger guys. Only thing he could do is get stronger and stronger so he could come to him and walk him down. And that's pretty much been his strategy since Kovalev.
I know you've been asked about the Bivol fight a lot, but this was my takeaway from Bivol, Caleb Plant, Callum Smith. Canelo's punch output is decreased in every fight per round. He doesn't throw as many punches. When you talk about the movement, I have to also talk about his output. And I don't know if that's necessarily a conditioning thing or an ego thing where he thinks he can do what he wants and finally get his way late in the fight. Against Bivol, it didn't work. And I don't know if that's going to lead to a change of strategy, but do you think that Canelo has settled into this thing where his punch output has become so economical, it becomes problematic if he can't have his way with his opponent?
Yes. Very simple. I think him being heavier won't allow him, because he's not at his natural habitat. Once you take a fighter out of his natural habitat, he have to adjust to that. And he have to punch according to that. If he throw punches like he's like 54 or 50, like if it was 54 pounder, 50 pounder, he's gonna be tired by the second round. He could be gasping for air. He can't throw punches like that. He gotta throw punches. Every punch has gotta mean something. He gotta walk guys down with his hands up, because one smart thing about Canelo, I think he's a very intelligent fighter, which is my personal opinion. He's very intelligent as a fighter, because he said he noticed a gap. Every fighter he chose to fight that agreed, not one of them punched when it was going backwards. He knew that, because they don't have a history of that.
Right.
Only one fighter he fought that punched going backwards, and he stayed away from for 4 years. Only one. It's a reason for that.
Yeah. He doesn't like
so it creates more difficulty. So now he got to figure out. He said he's going to come to him. He's going to walk him down. He's going to come to him. And that's possibly the correct thing for him to do, but he still got to, he wants to stay close to him. Because if he's close to him, he feel like he can't get no power punches in. That's the way he feels.
Obviously, you don't feel that way, because that's...
Man, I think that a lot of things we've been working on, like whether he's a mile away or an inch away, he can get his power shots up. That's how I feel about him.
Was there, being with Gennadiy, and when he first signed with DAZN, there was all this idea that he was going to get the Canelo fight very soon. He ended up fighting Derevchenko and all these things. As a trainer, looking back on those, did you sense that there was a dip a little bit in motivation for Gennadiy, because it felt like the thing that he came for wasn't coming to fruition?
What can I say? You said it all. You're absolutely right. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason that he signed with this company, because they promised him in that, what I'm saying, that he would get that third fight. That was the promise. So, and it was supposed to happen pretty quick, but it didn't happen.
And how do you deal with that as a trainer? Because it has to be frustrating, because that's your fighter, that's your folks, and you have to see him struggle with this idea, like you feel like you're being lied to, and you're given other fights that you're not necessarily motivated for. And I think in the case of Derevchenko, when you look at that fight, you see somebody like Gennadiy was there, but it just didn't feel like he wanted to be there with that particular person on that night.
Well, the whole thing about it for me is, I was talking to him. I just let him know, like, listen, like you only control what you can control, man. Like you gotta forget about it. It's to the point where he got to the point where every time he did media, the only request was, don't ask me nothing about Canelo. Mm-hmm. Because everybody want to know, when is the fight? He says, it's not in my hands. That he chose not to fight. He chose to go do other things. So why y'all keep asking me about the fight when he the one that didn't want to fight? He the one that jumped up to light heavyweight to go fight. And then saying, well, I'll fight him again. Tell him to come on up to light heavyweight. Like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing here, man? You know what I'm saying? You want to jump up to super heavyweight, then claim that the middleweight, hey, why the middleweight won't fight me? I'm ready to fight. I said, bro, you 10 weight classes higher. What are you talking about? So it wasn't like that the first fight. Come on, the first or second fight. Let's be realistic here, But I think it was one of these Canelo he had 3 super difficult fights in his career. Floyd Mayweather and 2 Trilogy fights. And I didn't think he wanted to refill on that one. When the waiter came around and said, "Hey, you want some more of that?" He's like, "I'm okay.
I'm good on that. You can.
Yeah, he said,
I'll take the check.
He said, "I'm full right now, but give me some time and I'll see if I can make room." You know, so.
So when Gennadiy fought Rio de Murata and everybody knew that this Triple G fight was happening, it felt like we saw. People said they saw a Triple G old. I don't think it was necessarily that. I just thought we saw a Triple G that that could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, and had to remind everybody it felt like he knew what was coming now. Like everything was finally happening his way. Am I wrong in that assessment?
I think I think a lot of things played in the Murata fight. I think his health played a big part in it. His and that was I can't. It's not even okay. It's not a lot of things. I think one of the main things is his temperament, his attitude, and his health played a lot of part in it. You know what I'm saying? The Demchenko fight was one of his worst fights because of health reasons. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he just looked at me and told me, like, "Listen, want to fight? I could beat this guy." I'm like, all right. When your client says that, like, you trust me to give you everything I have so you can be successful, then I have to in turn do the same thing. You know, you're the man getting in the ring. So, if you telling me that you can do it, you got it now. The only thing I'm gonna say, okay. And everything was different for the Murata fight because he was more upbeat, health-wise, was high as it could be, healthy as he could be, and he just went out there and had fun. And that's what we go do on the 17th, man. We go out. I told him we going to a Triple G party. September 17th, we going to a Triple G party. I said, and I said we already got the guest list. I said we serving nothing but punch. You know what I'm saying? I said we serving so we got everything we need. Let's go have a good time, man. I'm so sick of everybody me walking around the gym and got to fight. I'm like, man, like, why is the only people that's walking around the gym looking mean is the people never fought before? Like, stop being so mean. We about to have a good time, man. Let's go have a fun. Let's go close the door on this chapter and move on. Let's just go have a good time. And that's the whole concept. When you give that over to the fighter, if it's pressure on him, it takes it off. Mm. And realizes that at the end of the day, the bell go ring and it's a fight go happen. And I've been doing this my whole life. That's how the fighter looks at it. And it makes it easier for him. Like, you don't have to be nervous looking around the gym. Like, for what? It's a fight. At the end of the day, it's a fight. And that's what you come here to do. You come here to fight. It's not like you came for a concert, the fight broke out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing like that. You coming for the fight. Right. You know what I'm saying? You coming to win, and that's what it's all about.
Ain't no surprises. So we're going to finalize it with this. You said it's going to be a punch party and have a good time this week. Is it as much as it's a battle of the two fighters in the ring? How much do you see this as a battle of the two trainers preparing their fighters for their fight?
I mean, that's always a question that's up in the air. You know what I'm saying? But it's more so about which fighter do you look at this strategizing? Which fighter is strategizing and which fighter's strategy is set, and they will do the same thing they're gonna do no matter what. But what can they do? You know what I'm saying? That's really what it's about. When you take it from the fighters and give it to the corner, you got to figure out if you look at the way the trainer and the fighters interacting in the ring, and you look at the way the fighters fighting, if that's really, really similar, then you could say, you know what? The trainer's really, like, you could see something there that the trainer's really strategizing with the fighter on what to do. But if you see them in the ring just doing something, then the fighter fight totally different, then it's really no strategic way that they're going about it. They're just putting their best foot forward and just saying, let's go fight. You know what I'm saying? That's on the way of from how I'm looking at it. You know, but I think the trainers obviously play a major important role in these big fights. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, no matter what you say with the fighter, eventually they got to go out there and do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I keep all the attention on the fighter. You know what I'm saying? That's just a personal thing for me. And I keep the attention on the fighter because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, neither trainer got to slip a punch. You know what I'm saying? Unless something happened at the weigh-in that nobody's telling me about. But me personally, just a personal thing, I don't think nobody over there would try to punch me anyway.
No, I don't think so either, brother. I don't think they're ready for that.
I will hope not, but I mean, but I don't think so. You know, so hopefully I don't carry myself in a manner where it look like, you know what, you get away with punching that guy.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I hope I don't, but if I do, that's not my intention.
Definitely. Well, listen, Gennadiy, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. I'll see you in Vegas. I'm in Vegas, so I'll be at the fight.
Perfect.
I'll be at the fight, so I'll see you in a couple weeks, man. But thank you so much for the time.
Okay, pleasure's mine, brother.